One aspect of gay loneliness that's not discussed a lot is the way that gay loneliness experienced for a long time can lead to a lot of self sabotage as we tend to grow older. So, obviously, my last video talked a lot about like my college experiences coming out, etc. And because I really didn't experience many meaningful relationships in college due to that isolation, I really didn't develop an understanding of the way I connect with people and the ways that I can better my connections with people. And as a result, after I graduated and, left school, I ultimately felt even more isolated. But it led to me doing a lot of self sabotage when opportunities would present themselves with connecting with people. So, say like somebody would connect with me, they'd be a great person because of being burned before, or like because of that isolation I experienced, that kind of, judgment that I would experience, and like body image and everything like that. I just self-sabotaged myself as a means to stop something good from happening so I wouldn't have to deal with the potential disappointment of it going awry, right? I didn't begin to start unpacking this until I started having therapy, and this is within like the last 5 years, where because I experienced cumulative gay loneliness for so long, I would find ways to self sabotage through self deprecating behavior, in the sense where I would, in my mind, be like, oh, well, this person hasn't talked to me for 2 days. I'm clearly not worth it, so I'm not going to invest anything. But when they would come back to me, I would disappear. Or I would like dissociate, withdraw myself entirely. Even like in situations where I have had relationships before, there were instances a long time ago where I would kind of like self sabotage myself in relationships, where like if a person was being good to me, I would I couldn't see anything beyond that cloak of I don't deserve this. I'm not worthwhile. I don't belong. And I did this because one, I felt comfortable feeling that misery of sorts, and two, I really didn't know any other way of being when it came to relationships. Of course, with more experience, I started developing that, but I didn't develop that experience until my late 20s, which is another important aspect of gay loneliness, because so many LGBTQ plus people don't have those early relationships, like especially like in high school and in their late teens, early 20s, where they begin to socially develop and develop their sense of like interpersonal dynamics and relationships, what they're willing to, compromise for, tolerate, etc. And we experience those things so late, which can be quite debilitating for many of us. Now, fast forward to now, I don't really self-sabotage anymore. However, I am very much still self-deprecating. I do have like these self-deprecating behaviors where if there's like conflict, like my mind is so used to that isolation where I kind of default back to the headspace I was in back then, where I might be like, oh, this person's mad at me, this person's done with me, they're done with me, and that was my way of talking to myself at that time to help me quickly cope with rejection or loss or judgment, to move on. And maybe it made me mad at the time, maybe it made me mad enough to move past it, but it also kind of left an imprint in my mind where it almost made things worse. It kind of like became like this cumulative sticky residue in the inside of my mind that I would always kind of gravitate back to because I would remember that feeling, right? This is extremely complex. I'm much better than I used to be at this, but I attribute that considerably to that isolation experienced prior and during college when it came to gay loneliness. I want to add this really quick as well to this video. There have been people commenting who've been sharing their perspectives from like trans and non-binary standpoints, and I really appreciate that because I want to emphasize that this loneliness that I'm talking about, this isolation, impacts the entire LGBTQ plus community in a whole variety of different ways. Um, Being that I have a certain degree of privilege as a cis white gay male, like my experiences definitely do not correlate with what trans people may experience, non-binary people, others who are multi-marginalized with different intersections of marginalization, like black, indigenous, people of color in the LGBTQ plus community. So I think that it's important to have these conversations, and I hope that more people will. I would talk more about those other perspectives, but being that I have not had those unique experiences, I don't think it would be appropriate of me to do so. But I do want to hearken to the fact that those experiences are out there, and our community as a whole should carve out a space for those voices to be heard. Anyway, share your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Click like for the algorithm. And let's keep this conversation going because I feel like as a community, we can heal ourselves from that loneliness and that isolation we experienced for so long by simply acknowledging what it is, understanding how it works, and kind of finding tools for moving in a direction beyond it. Okay, thank you.